Hello, and welcome to Building Your Dream Book Flow with Wix Bookings. My name is Jacob. I'm 39, 2.5 years at Wix. I'm a developer at Wix Bookings Velo Solution Team. Today, I'm going to talk to you about building your custom book flow with Velo, allowing dynamic pricing and add-ons. We're going to start from taking a look on the out-of-the-box book flow. Now, we know that out-of-the-box book flow is good, but it doesn't fit everybody, and some customers have different needs and they want to customize things. So what can we do about it? Well, the first thing we can do about it is to create our own custom book flow. We're going to take a look at 3 sites from around the world that implemented such custom book flow, and they did so to serve their own business needs. We will see how they did it. Then we'll go to the demo. We'll take a look at the live site. We'll complete the book flow. Then we'll take a look at the business manager to see what's going on there. And then we'll take a look at the editor. At the editor, we will see how the book flow was implemented. And then we're going to talk about the architecture, the API, and the SPI. Then we're going to answer some questions and we will summarize. Are you ready to go? Let's do it. So first of all, hello, we are Wix Bookings. Wix Bookings is a complete scheduling and online booking platform. With Wix Bookings, you can schedule and pay for a service on any platform. It can be a mobile platform or it can be a web platform, and then you can manage this scheduling or this booking from any platform. Again, it can be a web platform or it can be a mobile one. Bookings is about to become a part of the ECOM platform. ECOM platform will enable Wix Bookings to expand its capabilities and add some new features like cart, tax calculations, gift cards, the use of service providers, and so on. The demo that we will see today was built on that ECOM platform, and we will see what it provides us and why is it so good. So let's dive in. Sorry, let's close the chat. Yeah. So Wix Bookings serves multiple industries and over hundreds of thousands of businesses, from schools to beauty salons to yoga studios, fitness studios, personal trainers, service providers, and so on and so on. So let's start from taking a look at the custom book flow. I'm sorry, for the out-of-the-box book flow. I will pause it for a second. Let me just double speed this so it will be more convenient for us. We will start with pressing on the Book Now button. There we go to the services page. We select our service. We go to the availability calendar where we select the date and the time. From there, we go to the to the book form where we fill in the information. Then we pay for the service. In this example, we pay with a coupon that provides 100% discount. And then we are presented with a thank you page. So this is the basic out-of-the-box book flow. Let's take this book flow and break it into some building blocks. So first, we started from the services list. From there, we could go to the service page, but we could also go directly to the availability calendar, which is what we did. From there, we went to the booking form, filled in the information, went to checkout, paid for our service, and we're presented with a thank you page. It's fairly simple, right? But we want to change that. This book flow doesn't serve my customer needs. My customer wants to add add-ons or perhaps dynamic pricing or perhaps show some graphics during the flow. So we need to change that. Can we do it? Absolutely. Let's see how. Our first example for the how is a website that comes to us from Singapore. It's called Singapore Fishing. This this website implemented a custom service page. On that page, they present the availability calendar, which select date and time, and they can also allow you to select a boat. A boat is a staff in their case. Then on the custom booking form, they present you with an option to add some add-ons, and they also show you a dynamic pricing. You can see the weekend rate. So they present price based on the weekday, some specific price for a weekday and some higher price for the weekend day. The second business comes to us from United States. It was built by one of Wix partners called Act One Media. This site provides learning skills for young children. This is the custom services page. This page is very design-oriented, where they have a brand with their own color palette, and you can see all these frames around the pictures and the locations under each picture, and they also have badges. We don't offer all these for the out-of-the-box book flow, so it can be built via customization, and it just looks great. Then on the service page, they present the availability. And the third example comes to us from Brisbane, Australia. This service is a bathhouse. This bathhouse implemented their book flow in a single page. They started from the number of participants, because sometimes people come in pairs or groups and they don't want to have more people than they can. And also, they don't want the experience to be such that you select the date, you select the time, only to find out that the available amount of free spots is insufficient for your needs. So you start from the number of participants, and then you select the availability based on the number of participants. Then they offer you some add-ons, they collect the information, and allow the payment. So these two examples are pretty good examples for how can you implement the custom book flow. And we must say that this bathhouse very inspired us. So we wanted to build our own bathhouse for the example. And only we want to use it, you wanted to build it with dynamic pricing and add-ons, just like the example we saw. But this time we want to use some pricing service provider. And we can do it only on the ECOM platform. So let's see how we did this. So in our bathhouse, it's going to be a great bathhouse. You're going to visit the bathhouse and enjoy some thermal pools, saunas, and relaxation areas. As far as the service goes, we're going to have a service which is called Bathhouse Session. It's going to be 3 hours long, 5 sessions a day from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. We're going to have up to 6 guests in capacity, and our pricing will differ by weekday. For Monday to Friday, it's going to be $45. From Saturday and Sunday, it's going to be $55. How about product environments? So we know we want to start from the number of guests. Then we're gonna show some dynamic pricing based on the day of the week. We will also enable the add-on selection, and we'll eventually finish with the thank you page and confirmation email that will contain all the session details and the add-ons. So a quick recap of the out-of-the-box book flow. So we had the service list, and then we got the availability calendar where we selected the dates and the time. Then we went to the booking form. Then we went to checkout to pay and got the thank you page. So when we create a custom book flow, There are certain things we can change and certain things that we probably won't change. So we will start from the services list, and perhaps we will modify the service page or maybe the order of things, like put the availability calendar inside the service page. But generally, the thank you page and the services list are constant. So let's take a look. How do we want to create our own custom solution? In our case, we want to start from the number of participants. From there, we want to go to the availability calendar. Then we will offer some add-ons. We'll collect the information in the booking form, go to checkout, pay for our service, and then we go to the thank you page. How about UI and UX consideration? Do we want each step to be on a different page that can be a bit long? Or do we want to have everything on the same page, like what we saw in the bathhouse from Brisbane, Australia? We can go there and we can do that. But if we want to add some graphics, perhaps one page is not enough for us, and we will have to scroll down, and perhaps it won't be the best experience. So we need to consider that. We can also use multi-state box. Multi-state box is an editor element. It's a box with states that you can browse through based on your position in your book flow. We will go in the multi-state box and we will see in the editor how it works. How about the availability experience? Do we want to show the date picker or perhaps drop down or maybe some other visual of your choice? We will go with the drop down. And how about the add-on experience? Do we want to be small, text only, or perhaps add some visuals so the customer will have an idea of what he's buying? Then we would go with the visual for our demo. So let's start coding. Our coding starts from the demo. I'm gonna click on the book button. Then we're gonna get the number of guests. It will be a pair of 2. Let's select a date that is good for us. Let's say Saturday, September 3rd. And we don't want to come too early. It's going to be 9 a.m. session. We click on next. We can already see that this is a weekend rate. Then we're going to have 2 indulge packages, 1 nourishing package, and 2 pamper packages. So we can see all the add-ons presented in the summary. Then we click on next. Let's gather the personal information. And click on the pay. Let's wait for the pop-up to appear for the payment. We see that the price is $290. Now let's pay. This site runs in a payment sandbox, so we will use a sandbox credit card. It's really meaningless and will not work in any other environment. So we'll have some address, some address and some city, the zip code, and we click on pay now. So here we are. We have our thank you page. It's also customized, and we have all the information about the nourishing packages and the final price. Now let's see what was changed in the business manager. So in this business manager on the ECOM, you see this orders page. In the orders page, let it load it for a couple of seconds. We have our order for today for $290. Let's open that. So here it is. And this is our order. We can create an invoice, or we can issue a refund. Let's go to the booking calendar. So our session was on September 3rd. Let's manage the participants. So this is us. And this is the packages that we selected. This is add-on number 1, add-on number 2, and add-on number 3. And from the business manager perspective, this is our booking. Now let's take a look at the editor. Our editor starts from the home page. On the home page, we have 2 Book Now buttons, which link you to the custom book flow. On the custom book flow, we start from the number of guests. Once we change the element of the number of guests drop down, let's see what happens. We prepare the date drop down. Once the date drop down is changed, there it is. We prepare the time drop down. Once the time drop down is changed, we go to the add-ons. Now, how do we go to the add-ons? We enable the next button. There it is. There's the next button. Let's see what happens there. We click on the next button. Let's find it. And we change the state of our multi-state box to add-ons. Now, this is the box that we talked about, which is a multi-state one. And these are the states that we can browse and walk through as our book flow advances. So when we click on the next button, we go to the add-ons. At the add-ons, we select our add-ons, and then again, we click on the next button. This next button, after the add-ons, brings us to a new state, which is the form. Let's go to the form. We are going to the form. This is the form where the customer inputs the personal information like phone and name and email. There is no next button here because the payment will start here. So let's see how we do the payment. Now, this is the interesting part. We go to checkout. And in the checkout, let me make this screen a bit bigger. Okay. In the checkout, let's close this. Okay. So we collect the information, and our information is stored. I mean, the information like add-ons and weekend rate is stored within the form fields. Now, this is important. When we will talk about the service provider, we will see why. So we stored this additional information inside the form fields, and then we call the good old Wix Bookings checkout booking API. Now, you might notice something strange here. In our book flow, we charge a non-default price. The default price for the service is $45, but we have a weekend rate, which is $55, and we also added add-ons, which are not free. So we have a custom price, and yet we call the checkout bookings, and this is all we do. Because once we get the result from checkout bookings, we present a thank you page, and we're done. There was no need to create a payment, and there was no need to set a custom price. So how did we do this? How does it work? Well, it works because on ECOM platform, we can add a custom integration, which is called a new booking pricing integration. Once we add the booking pricing integration, let me zoom out. Once we add the pricing integration, we get two files. The configuration files, where we configure the name of our function, and the function itself, which is calculate price, that receives a booking object in the options. We extract the additional fields. Remember the additional fields where we store the information about the add-ons and the weekend rate? And based on those fields, we calculate the price of the service and return an object of calculated price with a number and the currency, which is, in our case, US dollars. This is a fixed value here. So it all happens behind the scenes, and this is why it works so smoothly. So this is the editor part, and let's go back to the presentation and talk about some architecture. Let's go back to presenting. So how did the things work before we were on the ECOM platform? We would start the booking process, we would get the booking confirmed, but then, since we would use a custom price, we would need to decouple the payment from the booking. And we would have two different flows, one for the booking and one for the payment. The booking would get confirmed, but then we would start the payment. And what if the payment was successful? Then yeah, that's great. We present the thank you page and we're done. But in case the payment wasn't successful, then we would need some logic to handle this scenario. We could inform the site owner, or perhaps have some logic that deletes the booked bookings. And it's a challenge. It is always a challenge. For the ECOM, the things are much smoother and simpler. When we start the book receives a new status, created. You will not see this book anywhere. It will not appear on the calendar. It will not appear in any booking logs. It just lives on the server for the time being. After the booking was created, we are trying to identify a service provider. Do we have a pricing service provider, or we don't? If we don't, we will charge the default price. But if we do, we ask the service provider for the price. So the price, we provide the service provider with the booking object, which is in created states, and which is in the created state. And based on the form fields, the price is returned to us. So the price received from the service provider, and then the payment starts behind the scenes. We don't need to start the payment like we would do in the non-ECOM platform. There is no need to go to Wix Pay backend and create a payment, and then there is no need to go to Wix Pay and start that payment. It's being handled for us, so the developer doesn't need to write the code that addresses Wix Pay. So the payment starts seamlessly, and if the payment is successful, then booking becomes confirmed. If the payment is not successful, the booking remains in the created states and goes into the oblivion, and you will not see it again. So API-wise, what we did in this demo, we used the get service availability, then we used the get checkout options to get the available payment options, and then we called the checkout bookings. Now, on the ECOM platform, there are three things that happen behind the scenes on the checkout booking. First of all, there's the booking. The booking is created, and created is a new state that is introduced on the ECOM platform. Then we're trying to identify, do we have a pricing service provider? If we do, and we do in this case, we ask it for the price, and the price is returned for us. So the price is calculated at the backend. There is no need to create a payment at the front end and tell what the price is. So the price is returned and we go to checkout. At the checkout, we pay for the service. And once the payment is complete, we create an order. This is the order that we saw at the business manager. From the documentation perspective, nothing changes. Those still same 3 APIs. We used those at our demo, and we also used booking data collections. Bookings has 3 data collections: services data collection, staff data collection, and schedules data collection. We use services and staff for this demonstration. Now, a few words about the SPI. SPI is a service provider interface. SPI allows you to create an interface for other service providers to communicate with your site. The SPI logic was implemented by the booking server developers within the booking server. So the only thing that you might want to do is, or actually you need to do, is to create the service provider itself. The interface is already implemented. So for the pricing service provider, all we needed to implement is a basic calculation function, which returns an object of the price and the currency. So this is what we need. You saw the few lines of code, and it works. It works great. It's seamless and it's very comfortable. Now, do we have to? Is the pricing service provider the only service provider that we can use? No, we can use shipment providers, or we can create a provider of our own. You can do anything you want. Now, how does the documentation look like? The documentation has not been published yet because ECOM platform is not out in the open yet. So once it will be, we will publish the documentation. Questions, please. Before we conclude, I want to add some champion tips. So remember that you can use the data collections. And data collections are there for your convenience, so you can gather information that you need without calling some Velo APIs. You can explore Velo examples and get inspired by them and implement the ideas on your site. You can create Velo dashboard pages in the editor. When you enable the dev mode, you get that option, and you can create them for the site owner needs, like business intelligence or perhaps some statistics. Use backend and frontend wisely. Run as little as you can on the front end and move as much as you can to the backend, because backend is faster. But be aware of the Velo limitations, which are 14 seconds for the backend function to return a response. So if you have a really heavy logic that you want to run in the backend and you might time out, then break the data into smaller chunks and call the backend with smaller chunks. And the last action is use suppress oath wisely. Suppress oath allows you to call APIs with privileges of the site owner. So if you allow the suppress oath to be used by members or non-login users, so this can be there can be consequences, and you might want to avoid that. So you again use suppress oath wisely. If you have questions, you can talk to us on Discord or Velo forums. You can go to wix.com/Velo, and you can ask us anything, and we'll help you build your awesome stuff. And the main idea that I'd like you to receive from this demo is that you can do anything with the custom book flow. You can build great stuff and really cool book flows, and there is nothing that limits you. So again, thank you very much. Goodbye.